from a source. I haven't seen this. I haven't looked this up. I just got from a source right now that there are missiles falling on U.S. positions from Iran, shot from Iran. We're gonna look into this together. If this thing will let me. So let's do it. This is unbelievable. Okay. You know what? All right. I want to share screen. Let me try it like this. So you guys seeing what's going on right now? All right. I should be sharing screen. This is 12 minutes ago. So this is like just happened. There's Missles. Did you guys see all that? Could you guys see all that? Was I sharing screen with you guys? Could you guys see that while I was sharing it? Could you guys see the video? No? You guys couldn't just see that while I was... Oh, man. I might have to change... Damn, I'm running out of streams here. This... Why are they not giving... No wonder. It makes sense that they take away my ability to... Yeah, let me see. I know what to do. There we go. Alright. Now, that should be better. That should be better. Screen. Okay. Alright. Now I should be able to... Tell me if you guys can see this. Or I could just explain it to you. I mean, this is not... Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read this to you guys. This is from Hassan. Okay, so... Pro-Iran media is reporting that Iran has fired ballistic missile into U.S. bases inside Iraq. Simultaneously, a senior U.S. military source in Iraq tells Fox News that they're under missile attack from Iran, cruise missiles or short-range ballistic missiles all over country. So this is going down, folks. This just got real. I don't know if you guys could see, the screen right there. If you just let me know a yes or no when I was just reading that, if you guys could see screen. If not, I have a different way to do it. But that's what was just reported. So they just fired missiles on only me the whole time. Okay, well, we're gonna fix that. So that was from both an Iran, pro-Iran news station, but also from a U.S. military source, that missiles were being fired. They were under They were under siege from ballistic missiles, potentially cruise missiles was mentioned. And they're not saying one particular spot. They're saying all over the country. So let's look into this. I'm gonna I mean you guys could, but we're gonna go over this together. If they're not gonna let me share screen, then I'm just gonna do this. All right.
Now, the U.S. has said that Iran has...
Oh, here we go. So 10 rockets have hit airbase in Iraq where U.S. troops are based. So it's just one airbase. They reported it first a different way.
Qasem Soleimani was an effort to de-escalate. No one who knows anything about Iran believes that killing Qasem Soleimani would actually...
Now this is gonna be very like look what Trump did type of news, but we're gonna flick around. But basically, so right now, so although it was saying in the report that I got, they were saying that there was multiple
the intelligence that led to
they were hitting multiple bases, whereas this is more so reporting one base.
All right, I want to go to Fred Pleitgen. He's in Tehran for us. Fred, we don't know where these rockets came from. These at least 10 rockets at the Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq, which houses a lot of U.S. troops. So we don't know who's responsible. But what?
All right, you know what? I'm gonna show you guys actual video of this. Hold on. So I'm gonna show you guys like actual video. Let me get the other. I should have just been streaming from here, but I'm making a new, hey baby, what's up? Oh man, see the kids, it makes you think. Alright, so she knows I'm streaming, that's why she knows I'm doing this. So
a response by the Iranians, a military response, and that response would be...
I'm going to show you guys footage of this.
The Al-Assad Air Base is one of the largest military targets with U.S. troops there in all of Iraq. So certainly, to a certain extent, that would fit the bill. The Iranians also, Wolf, I think, were quite keen to show that despite the fact that Qasem Soleimani was obviously a towering figure.
Hey, watch out, because I'm gonna.
Military specifically for the Revolutionary Guards
Twitter.
Force, the Foreign Operation Wing of the Revolutionary Guard, and
I
generally,
want to see the actual footage.
was almost a legendary figure among the Iranian military. We saw that with these giant funeral processions that were going on all over Iran.
1 second.
Always very clear.
And look, it says that Iran is secretly moving missiles into Iraq, U.S. officials said. That had just came out today. That they were secretly moving missiles, and it looks like that's exactly what happened. I want to see the actual video. Okay. Let's see.
At that very event, said that there would be revenge, and that there would be revenge against the U.S. military, and that this was something, a plan that the Supreme Leader himself...
Man, I had it. It was on Twitter, too.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
That's sometimes where the only place you can find things. And then they're only up for a second, then they're down. I hope I didn't miss my opportunity here.
So could this just be the beginning? Could there be other things that take place? We do know what the ultimate goal for the Iranians is, and this is something that's come from the head of the Revolutionary Guard, from the Supreme Leader, and today I did an interview with the Foreign Minister of Iran. They are all saying what they want and what they think is going to happen is that eventually the U.S. will leave Iran.
I'm gonna get you guys this.
They think it's the beginning of the end of America's presence in Iran. But of course, at this point in time, much too early to tell whether or not this is part of that.
Sorry about that.
For a moment, Fred, we're just getting a statement from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps saying that it has hit the U.S. Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq in what they described as tens of missiles, according to Press TV.
So Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard claims that they hit Al-Assad base, by the way.
One Sunni paramilitary commander who is based not too far away from Al-Assad itself is that 10 rockets
10 rockets.
We don't know at the stage.
Al-Assad, oh man, I went to do a casualties.
The barrage that we had been hearing
Wow.
has ended, but as I was saying, we don't know at this stage if there were any casualties. It's worth noting, Wolf, that Al-Assad Air Base does not just house U.S. forces. It's a massive, sprawling complex in Al-Anbar province, where you also have the presence of the Iraqi security forces themselves. Also
Still showing old stuff? Come on. It's all over the MSM.
In the past, but it is potentially.
Okay, I just saw footage of it when I looked. Now when I look live, come on.
List for the Iranians, not just in the sense of what they're able to fire at it in the way that they're saying that they have, but also because of the presence of these Iranian-backed paramilitary forces here. The U.S. military
There's no footage of that.
if you remember, suspended its anti-ISIS operations and its training missions because they wanted to be focusing on force protection.
You know what? Forget all this noise. Let's just go straight to Twitter. We're not going to find anything. Google, DuckDuckGo isn't what it used to be.
Or under these kinds of circumstances, significantly heightened tensions that are taking place right now. It's too soon to tell if this is the beginning of something bigger or if this is just perhaps the testing of the waters to see what kind of a reaction there will be. But most certainly, we have been hearing over the last few nights various different reports of mortars being fired towards the
so there were mortars, we knew that, but that's not really.
Fired towards Al-Balad Air Base. That took place a few nights ago. Those
Did I spell something wrong?
gate of the base. And so
What's going on? What is going on? Did I spell something wrong here?
Activity over the last
Missles spelled
few
wrong?
nights, but again, it was just a few rockets or mortars here and there. No significant reports of casualties in any of those.
I want to see these
attacks,
videos.
and we're waiting to try and get more information as to
There's actual video
where
of it.
exactly inside Al-Assad Air Base these rockets may have hit, and if there were any casualties.
Just shows them
Well,
going.
this could be the start of the Iranian retaliation for the killing of the Iraqi General Qasem Soleimani. Barbara Starr is over at the Pentagon. Barbara, you heard the breaking news. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has issued a formal statement saying it has hit the U.S. Assad Air Base in Iraq with tens of missiles. What are you hearing?
They're saying tens of missiles, so like dozens.
At this hour, officials are behind closed doors. We believe they are on.
Where is this video?
Between Washington and Baghdad, trying to determine exactly what has happened, complicated by the fact that the Pentagon shut down early today because of what was supposed to be a major snowstorm.
What did I say, guys? Did I hit it on the nail on the head? I said high alert time. The government will all of a sudden shut down early because of flurries. And, the 3 days of mourning have been over. I was right on. I mean, literally, I just stopped the stream, half hour ago? And I said, high alert, guys. I'm telling you, this is when it's going to happen. Sure enough, boom. Because they shut down the whole government. They shut down the Capitol building. They shut all this down because of a little flurry. It wasn't even like legit bad snow, and it hadn't even started yet. And they shut the government down over it. What is this?
And how many bases in Iraq did they fire against? This has been the concern that the Iranian regime.
This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want.
What you have to remember is this is essentially U.S. forces under attack inside Iraq. So you have military families obviously desperately concerned for information.
It's the same old, these aren't the right.
You have the military here in Washington trying to figure out exactly what is happening so many thousands of miles away. It is going to be very important.
Sorry, I keep blocking. Sorry about the audio. All right, we're gonna have a hard time finding this live again. I had it live. I had a live video. It just basically showed. It must have been someone in Iran because these missiles were leaving, and there was definitely multiple. There was multiple. I didn't see over 10. The audio should be fixed now. All right, so yeah, there was multiple. From what I saw like multiple rockets being fired. This was on Twitter when I went to share screen, and I thought you guys were watching too. But it's like there's a reason they took away the share screen capability. That button should be right. I know right where it should be. Instead, there's like this orange. I don't get it. But so the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard has claimed responsibility, and they are exactly the Qud forces. That is the forces that when they say General Soleimani, that's who they're talking about. He was the general of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, who we deemed as terrorists, and him as the leader would definitely be a terrorist according to us, which is, you know, kind of taking Iran's like special forces and calling them terrorists. But that they have been conducting terrorist-like activity. I mean, it's such a broad term. I mean, yeah, they would be considered terrorists by the definition and the way we approach it. So I want to kind of get on a more honest station here and see what we got, because so what I saw was a bunch of missiles, and it must have been a video in Iran. And this video in Iran, it showed multiple missiles. I saw about 7. So the U.S. is saying there were 10 shot at al-Assad, and Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Iran basically, is saying there were 10s shot. So, you know, 20 or 30, you know, 10s shot. So that's the difference. Not that much of a difference. They both agree that they were shot. They both agree where they were shot. And let's see. Let's check out what they're saying on here. Let's see if anything breaking. So that's the only breaking news so far that you guys don't know.
What you've seen in recent days is they have tried to beef up not only force protection, but also move some U.S. military personnel from
it's beginning, but you know what? This is a real measured response. That's it. I expected worse. Well, you know what? Want to know what I was worried about? Them firing at Israel. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm much more concerned with the lives of American troops. But if this became more about Israel, then all of a sudden, you know, I'm worried about world war. That if they had fired them at Israel, it's just a different ball game. We know how that goes, and that would also cause them to have more allies. But I'll let you listen to this woman.
The Pentagon here was prepared. You heard Mark Esper at the podium here at the Pentagon say that they did expect this retaliation. They did expect that the proxies of Iran would be firing, would be trying to target American targets inside Iraq. But what is unusual
not funny? Why? What was said?
That these are missiles that were fired from Iranian territory at American bases inside Iraq.
Okay, I'm going to play soundbite. This is from...
yeah, if it's some troll saying some dumb shit, whatever. Who cares, guys?
What the response might look like, and also...
I mean, the thing is, they like did something, but I don't know. Let's see what the damage really is.
Proportionately, not disproportionately, because we are committed to law. We are law-abiding people. We're not lawless like President Trump.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be...
Just forget him, guys. Forget whoever's talking crap.
So that's the question, is I was trying to get with Congressman Waltz, is do we have any sense of what the response may be?
Well, I think what we are seeing here tonight at the Pentagon is that there are meetings behind closed doors. There's a skeletal staff here because of the snow situation here in Washington. They closed the federal government. Most of the Pentagon parking lot is empty because most people went home. But the top
well, that's what I was pointing out.
Had a late afternoon meeting.
That's what made me think it was coming. I mean, for anyone who was with us on the last show, I called it. Don't be scared, guys. This is all going on over there. This is all going on over there, and this seems to be a measured response, in my opinion. 10 missiles at one base. I fear for the men on those bases. You know, we also have things where we can shoot them out of the sky. So I wonder how many actually hit.
Into Baghdad to protect the embassy there. Remember, this is one of the largest embassies the U.S. has in the world, a $650 million embassy. All of those facilities have to be protected, and so the focus right now is on defending, but certainly there will be reaction in terms of targeting those missiles and the point of origin of those missiles.
Right. Senator Griffin live with the
Well, we already know. Sorry about that. I got the audio up. Audio good.
Forward, but I want to ask your thoughts about this night and what we're seeing currently, and what you think of it.
Well, obviously, it's a concern. We don't know the details like Congressman Walsh does, and even what you're reporting just now is more than we have learned. It's obviously a very serious matter. Once again, it sort of puts everything in Washington in a different perspective when you're talking about missiles being launched from Iran and American personnel being exposed.
They're going to mess with the sound. I just got to keep an eye on it. And thank you for the mods texting me, because every time they do that, I can hit the button.
Like countless moments throughout the last
Why, like, it's on the news. Why are they going to censor it?
Prevail, that we think thoughtfully and carefully about how we approach the response, and I think it's important we get the facts, and we're obviously doing that tonight.
I can't help but recall that, I guess almost 40 years ago.
I want to see what happens with all these Iranian apologists. You know, are all the Democrats, they still going to be Iranian apologists? All right, because now they're shooting them at our base where our boys are. And we're going to respond. I'm telling you guys, just so you, no surprises. We're going to respond. We're going to hit the oil refineries. We're going to, wherever these missiles came from is going to get nailed. We might have a strategic strike on a couple individuals as well. I think that we are definitely going to respond, and we're going to respond quick. I mean, it could be, I would say either tonight or tomorrow. We'll respond. And the main thing, yes, of course, you want to take out their missile sites. Yes, of course, certain strategic military positions. But number one is the oil refineries. Do not underestimate what that they have been lashing out because of economic sanctions, because of this all pressure campaign that we've been doing, and it's been working, but it's causing them to lash out. They started to lash out some more, and then boom, we hit their general. Their response is 10 missiles fired at an Iraqi base, Al-Assad, where we do have a lot of Americans. They're housed. Where they're housed. Now, we have yet to find out what the damage is of that, and as soon as I know, I'll get it to you. In fact, I'm going to set it up. These guys, the reason I took it off the screen is those guys are just there to talk about impeachments. They don't really know anything. All right. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to respond. And the most important thing is those oil refineries, as well as the missile sites and their ability. But to really hurt their ability to wage war, if that's where we're going, we need to hit the oil refineries. They will have no cash flow. Take out that cash flow and there's nothing left. They might just be beginning, she said. CNN is going to try to scare you as much as possible, but I mean, I don't want to, at the same time, I don't want to make this less than what it is. This is huge.
Helicopters, a lot of U.S. troops. This is the air base that the president referred to as a $1 billion air base.
Yeah, he was just talking about this base today.
Developing and building this air base. If in fact,
he was talking about, well, Iraq wants to kick us out. They need to pay us back for the billions we spent on the air base, the airstrips. Well, that's what they hit.
A lot of personnel and a lot of equipment means a lot of targets, sadly. I will say,
I wonder how
to cycles
if they hit their targets.
That's something that senior military officials have expressed to me in the past several days, that they're concerned about. Tit for tat, it has a speed of its own, and the pitch of that can rise very quickly. And we've already seen that in the last week or so, right? You had a Iranian attack on a base, killed a U.S. contractor. You had the attack on the embassy, the U.S. Killing of Soleimani, and now you have what appears to be an attack on a U.S. base there. The other point I would make is this, Wolf. Part of the threat assessment, and this comes from reporting from our panel of Brown, prior to the decision to kill Soleimani, was precisely an Iranian threat to U.S. bases in the region, including Al-Assad. And there was particular attention to the movement of what are known as Grad
See this?
trucks. They basically pick up
this exact attack
back, but very threatening. The movement of them close to bases
is basically what they most.
A rocket attack. It could be the kind of attack
that was imminent. If you guys didn't catch that, this attack right here, because of where it is, it lines up with the thought when they talk about there was an imminent attack with this general. Well, what they are saying is that what we're seeing right now is most likely the attack that they were planning with this general. It was his men who is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They're the ones who claim responsibility. That faction of their military in particular, which makes sense. That was his. He was the general of that faction of their I ran his best. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see after the response. So so this might have been the exact attack that everybody. Oh, how could Trump do? He prevented an attack like this. Well, some will say, oh, the attack still happened. Oh, I think we were a lot more prepared. We had a lot more men there. I'm hoping that a lot of these rockets didn't make it to their targets. I'm more interested in that. All right, so I'll keep it on here.
We don't know if they were able to stop the rockets. We just don't have enough detail right now. And that may be the most concerning thing to the Pentagon, and to the U.S.
Yeah, it is kind of
overseas as they
the
scramble
fact that we don't
to deal with
have
the
the
situation.
information as
They're
far
going
as
to
the
be looking
damage,
at the
because
radar,
if there wasn't much damage, they would have told us. They would tell us minimal damage, shot most of them out of the sky.
Was fired from inside Iran, which would be that very significant escalation, or if the electronic intelligence they get shows them that these were rockets fired nearby by Iranian-supported militias.
Man, I wish I still had the footage. I had the footage of them actually being fired. And I mean, this is what it said this is what it said at least in that video, for what that's worth. It said it was from Iran. Now they could have just meant it from Iran, but in Iraq. But it seemed like they were saying no, from in Iran to Iraq.
The Guard Corps on Iranian television is claiming responsibility.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I think that's something that's very, very significant, because of course this is the branch of the Iranian military that Qasem Soleimani was very much a part of, and very much one of the leaders of. He was the head of the Foreign Operations Wing of the IRGC, and I think exactly what Barbara is saying is going to be one of the key questions. What kind of weapons were used in this? Were these simple unguided rockets that were used, or were these potentially maybe smaller ballistic missiles or even cruise missiles? One of the things, Wolf, that...
what did I say right at the beginning? Ballistic missiles and cruise missiles were mentioned in that video that showed it happening live. And they said it was out of Iran. They said ballistic missiles, and it said something about cruise missiles, and a U.S. official actually confirmed it. And we were just live. We were just live before this, and I told you guys, listen, from what I'm seeing, something's about to happen because of all the disinformation out there. The fact that they shut down the Capitol early, they shut down the White House, the Capitol, all those buildings. They shut them down early today. And they said, oh, it's because of the weather, the flurries. And it didn't sound, I'm like, flurries? Come on, this isn't like Texas where like they freak out when there's a little bit of no, this is serious. This is, this is a situation where we are at high alert. And the fact that they shut down all those buildings, the fact that I got this emergency alert system thing on my TV today, and all of the disinformation, I said, something's coming from right now in these seconds till tomorrow. Because the 3 days of mourning were up, and now it's time for the response. And that's what we're looking at right now. And what worries me is that if there was not damage done or casualties, we would have heard it. They would have said it. They would have let that information out by now. That's what worries me. So I saw ballistic missiles and I saw something about cruise missiles. So they're looking at that as the worst potential. Well, that's what it is. They're saying 10, whereas the
Operation Revenge appears to be underway as missiles, surface-to-surface missiles, as we understand them, multiples of them going into Iraq from Iran. You are looking at images from Iranian state TV. As you'll see on your screen in just a second, we're told that they are either cruise missiles or short-range ballistic missiles.
What did I say?
And the
I told you that at the top of the show. They were a ballistic missile and short in many directions. That's what I said. The guy said they were coming down from all over. I think that's the reason why initially they thought there was multiple bases involved. They shot them from multiple locations, it seems.
The attacks tonight were reportedly timed to be carried out about 1:20 a.m. That is the exact time of Qasem Soleimani's death.
Oh, that makes sense why they were at such high alert. The exact time of his death is when these were carried out. Exact time of Soleimani's death is when they carried out these strikes. Which makes sense why they shut down the Capitol. They shut down all the buildings in the Capitol around 2.
Tells me that multiple U.S. military bases have been targeted tonight.
Multiple.
I received about an hour ago.
That's what I told you at the beginning, and then they started saying it was one.
Missile attack from Iran. These are either cruise missiles or short-range ballistic missiles all over the country. I'm told they are either cruise or short-range ballistic missiles being fired from Iranian territory at multiple U.S. bases, including
So I was right.
Al-Assad Air Base in Anbar,
At multiple bases.
which is the home
That's
to
what
most
I
of the
reported
US
at the
troops
top
that
of the
are based
show.
inside Iraq, along with some Iraqi
I've been right on this, guys. I've been trying to tell you the whole time. I've been right on from before we took out Soleimani to now.
What happens next depends on them. I think we should expect that they will retaliate in some way, shape, or form, either through their proxies, as they've been doing now for how many years, or by their own hand. And so we take this one step at a time. We're prepared for any contingency.
By the way, this is him talking earlier today.
This strike, Martha, is that these missiles, we're told, were fired from inside Iranian territory,
which makes a big
targets.
difference.
The U.S. military had been expecting a response, as you heard the defense secretary say, and in fact they held that press conference earlier today to try and warn the Iranians. Martha?
So, Jennifer, we are just getting in the first images that are coming in
Here
from
we go.
Iranian news agencies.
This is the video. This is the video. You're gonna see. This is the video I was looking at. When you're gonna see another one go. This is the exact video I was watching. So we've been way ahead of this. If I just had screen sharing capabilities, which you normally should on this platform, unbelievable.
Images will have, or at least they hope they will have.
I should have went live from the laptop. It's just I'm trying to set up. I'm setting up a new spot. Look at that. There's the actual footage of them shooting them from Iran.
Who was killed.
That's the footage I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Almost exactly
right there.
A week ago, 5 days ago, at this exact time.
So at the exact time that Soleimani was killed, they launched this attack, which makes sense why the Capitol was shut down, which is why I predicted that something's about to happen. I even said within minutes. And the initial report I gave of cruise missiles and short-range ballistic missiles coming down everywhere, targeting multiple U.S. bases. That was the initial.
Where these missiles were fired from, and if that's in Iranian territory,
it is in Iranian territory.
That escalates this confrontation.
So far, we've been on this whole thing, and I want to thank my source, and you know who you are. You're the best. You are the best. You beat the media by 16 minutes. That was amazing.
Just striking images as we watch this.
Yeah, that's what I was watching at the beginning, but I wish I could have shared
it. These
it.
are the first images that we have of these missiles and the missile strike going towards U.S. bases in Iraq from places in Iran, in several areas in Iran. Jennifer, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to be going around the horn and keep everybody in the loop here tonight as we cover this breaking story. The strikes at this hour come on the heels of these comments from the Iranian foreign minister. Watch.
This is state terrorism. This is an act of aggression against Iran. And it amounts to an armed attack against Iran. And we will respond. He has to realize that he has been fed misinformation. And he needs to wake up and apologize.
Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana joining me now. Senator Kennedy.
He's talking about disinformation.
Obviously, a lot is underway here. Your initial thoughts as you hear this news?
I'm not surprised, number one. This is the 12th time in the last 60 days that either Iraq or Iraqi proxies.
Yeah, here's the footage. This is the footage I was watching, and I thought you guys were watching it with me on Twitter. And then it got scrubbed. I couldn't find it again for you.
And this is I don't know the size of the rocket or the missile yet. I don't know the number, but this has been par for the course for Iran. The only thing different that I can tell this time is that Iran is accepting responsibility. In the past, 11 times they've lied about it.
That's a good point. So they've taken responsibility, and this is the exact same footage I was looking at earlier. It looks like I'm worried that some damage was done. These were cruise missiles, as well as short-range ballistic missiles. That's what I was told initially. That's what I saw initially, along with this video, with that information. And that was what I was trying to share with you guys at the top of the show. It's this exact video. You just see them all going through this.
Happening?
You see?
No, but America is not the bad guy here. We don't want to take over Iraq. All we're asking, or Iran, all we're asking Iran is this. Number one, stop trying to hurt us. Number two, stop trying to hurt our friends. And number three, you can't have a nuclear weapon. Why? Because based on your past experience, we don't know how you will use it. Other than that,
so what do you guys think?
And let them run their lives like they want to, but they just won't stop these.
What do you guys think? I think that we're gonna take out their oil refineries, and I know everyone's worried about China and Russia getting involved. I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna be the case. They crossed the red line. We know what the red line was. Any attack on any American interest, personnel, well, they definitely did that. So what worries me is we still haven't heard about what damage was done. Then again, our military is definitely operational right now. As far as missiles being launched, you know, I'm expecting something tonight into tomorrow. Or sometimes it's like a 2-day thing. But I think for a fact, it's going to be right away, and we're going to hit the oil refineries. We're going to hit wherever these missiles were fired from. That's going to be obliterated. I mean, they probably know. Wherever they fired it from, they're probably evacuating that area right now. They're not even going anywhere near where these missiles came from. Because that, wherever, well, you know, they'll know. They'll know. But you know what? They'll follow where the do not underestimate our technology, guys, and you guys shouldn't be worried. Our technology is rivaled by none. From the quantum mechanics to the artificial intelligence, you think it does nothing? You think they just have it, and it just you know, the military doesn't use it to their advantage? We have such an advantage over other countries. I wouldn't be worried. I don't want a message of being worried to be sent out across the internet. But you know, you should have a head on a swivel if you're out in public at a large public gathering. Other than that, you know, just because I think about sleeper cells do come to mind. Even if they're not exactly for the Iranians, it just kind of wakes up certain factions of people that, you know, have it out for us as well. So I do worry about a couple of those happening in this country. It looks like this is the response. About 10 missiles fired at multiple bases. But it seems like only one base was hit. They keep going back to Al-Assad. So my initial report seems to be correct according to the host here. Missiles from all different directions. So not just from one direction. They're all coming from different directions. We saw about 5 come in that video, right? About 5 or 6. So maybe there's another 5 or 6 from a total opposite direction, and they all closed in to try to make it more difficult to shoot them out of the sky. Makes sense. And supposedly they were going after multiple U.S. bases, so that could be part of why it was from different locations as well. But what we do know that they're not wanting to 100% say is that these came from Iran. And when I say from Iran, I mean from their country, from their land into Iraq, which makes it, you know, exponentially worse. Because the way they normally do things, what they mean by like proxy war is you're almost not under the Iranian flag and you're in other countries carrying out missions, you know, killing enemies. You're going after ISIS, but while you're doing that, you're also, you know, you have your guys like ambush another faction that's also fighting ISIS, but you guys don't get along, and you guys know that when it's all said and done, you know, who's going to have that land, who's going to have the influence, who's going to have the power once they get rid of him, once they get rid of them. So they would do things like that, and they would shoot missiles or mortars, but it would always be not from their land, whereas this was blatant from their land, in particular from the Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, which Soleimani was the general of. If you guys have been with me since the last show, we said it right at the last show. I said, hey, with all the Capitol buildings shutting down early because of a couple of flurries that didn't even start until like hours later, I said, why on such an important day, you know, like Soleimani, they have 3 days that they mourn. And then that was up. Then there was some little mortar attack, which seemed to have no effect. And I said, something's coming. They're shutting down all the Capitol buildings. Why would they do that? They're shutting down the Capitol buildings at a time like this? That makes no sense. Let me plug this in. So, I want to see if the Iran apologists continue. Are they cool with this? Or are they just going to blame Trump? Is that what it is? Like, they hate Trump to the point that they're willing to, like, go against their own country? That's what I'm curious about. Is the media really going to steep that low? Is that what we're going to see? Or are we actually going to is this going to be something that unifies us? No, I don't think so. To be honest, I don't think so. So here's some more footage again.
Today we heard from the defense secretary and from the president essentially saying we are prepared to respond if attacked.
That's the actual footage of these cruise missiles, short-range ballistic missiles, which is what we reported right at the top of the show.
Senator Kennedy, I thank you very much for being with us tonight as we all watch this across the country unfold. And I just want to point out to everybody on the right-hand side of your screen, these are images coming from Iran. This is the missile attack launched from Iran.
From Iran.
Missiles headed from Iran into Iraq, and the Iran Revolutionary Guard has indeed taken responsibility.
And my question is, why haven't we heard about the damage yet? That's what I'm worried about. Because I keep thinking about these guys, you know?
Joining me now is
I know a lot of Marines just got called in. A lot of Marines have arrived there lately. A lot of targets. This guy's good. He had good information. Here we go.
Confirming these missile attacks tonight. You can see that video of the surface-to-surface missiles being fired from Iranian territory. The Department of Defense just releasing this statement. They are confirming more than a dozen ballistic missiles. Reports indicate it could be more than 30 ballistic missiles.
Whoa.
Fired towards the Al-Assad air base in western Iraq. This is an Iraqi air base that houses many U.S.
Over 30 missiles.
According to the Department of Defense, there were coalition personnel near a base in Erbil that were also targeted as a result of these missiles fired from Iranian territory.
Coalition forces, so it wasn't just Americans targeted.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard is confirming they have fired these missiles.
Wow, so Iran was putting out better information than the U.S. It was 10 missiles, and they said tens. And then now they're saying over 30.
Anticipating this type of response after last week, President Trump made the decision to use a drone strike to kill Iran's top military leader, Qasem Soleimani. His burial was today, the final day of a 3-day mourning period.
See that?
Implemented by
Yep,
Iran's
that's why I knew it. And then when they shut down the capitals, well, who would have thought? So Iran the whole time was actually more credible as far as the accounts of events. Over 30 missiles, 30 cruise and short-range ballistic.
Equal to the killing of their top military commander. What we've seen tonight, though, and reports indicating more than 30 ballistic missiles fired
more
from
than
Iranian
30
territory towards an Iraqi base housing American troops here in Iraq is a major escalation.
Yeah, this is even worse than I thought.
In this larger conflict, because what we were seeing before it was a proxy war. I want to take you back just about a month ago, whenever that American contractor was killed and those 4 U.S. service members injured at an Iraqi base that houses American troops in Iraq. Those were rockets that were fired, just a handful of rockets fired towards that base, and it left 1 American dead. The president responded striking a group called Kataib Hezbollah.
And what they fired this time was much worse and over 30.
In response to the Iranians,
I fear there's going to be a lot of damage. This is going to be, okay.
Once that 2-day siege was over, then we saw President Trump making that decision to take out Soleimani outside of Baghdad's international airport. And tonight, once again, we are seeing missiles fired from Iranian territory into Iraq towards American troops, a major escalation. The White House has released a statement saying the president's been briefed and he is meeting with his national security team. Remember, President Trump has vowed to respond very strongly towards the Iranians, threatening this past week to strike their cultural sites. But really important to note here,
oil
when we talk about the
refineries.
response or potential response by the Americans to these missiles being fired towards U.S. troops. Two things we need to talk about. One having to do with striking Iran within its own territory. This has been a conversation not only for the United States, but its allies in the Middle East, such as Israel. Earlier in the year, I asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about this concept of striking Iran within its own borders, and he said that is not something that Israel would take off the table. It's clear President Trump is not taking that off the table. So we can imagine tonight the White House is speaking not only with the national security team in Washington, but also key U.S. allies in the region, such as Kuwait, where there are more than 3,000 American troops now that have been deployed.
They have some important decisions to make tonight. Very important decisions to make.
A major response by the Americans if those promises.
This is worse than I thought. All right, so now we're saying over 30 cruise missiles and short-range ballistic missiles fired from their land, Iran, into our own land. Now let's see if he's on this.
From Iran, describing this action this evening, which Trey has told us 30 ballistic missiles involved in this attack. And in that tweet, it was described as hard revenge.
Now I can see why we haven't heard anything about the damage, because there's definitely some casualties. There's definitely some damage. And this is definitely the reason why all the Capitol buildings shut down early today. They had some intel. We know what's going on before it happens. I'm telling you, we already knew what was going to happen. How far before, I'm not sure. But just from being in the intel field, trust me, we know what's going on. The 30 missiles, that requires way too much coordination and planning for us not to intercept some of that intel. So we definitely intercepted some of that intel, knew something was happening. We definitely probably were thinking, okay, the 3 days are over. And also there's been a lot of like symbolic striking. Whereas we struck Soleimani on a road that was nicknamed Irish Way. Now, I'm not sure if they said that, like, you know, be lucky, you know, the luck of the Irish if you can live through after driving down this road, or if it's like, you know, the bad luck of the Irish. I don't know what they mean by that, but it's called like Irish Way, this road right outside the airport. And many U.S. soldiers were killed on that road with IEDs and things like that. So the fact that we killed him right there on that road was symbolic. Just as after the 3 days of mourning, after he's buried, then it looks like they got to business, and they were just waiting to hit us at 1:20 their time, which is the exact time that he was killed. So that's you know, there's a lot of symbolism behind these hits: when, how, where, all of that. So yeah, so let's continue here, because this is escalating. I thought it was 10, now it's over 30, and we're still not hearing about what the damage is.
And that assessment will be so important in terms of what the reaction might be, and as you rightfully point out, Brett, likely to go after the sites where these Iranian missiles were launched from, to eliminate that as a possibility in the future perhaps. But the White House is obviously going to be in deep discussion with all of the leadership at the Pentagon in terms of figuring out what kind of appropriate response. But first, the assessment of whether or not there were any human casualties in this attack this evening.
There were.
As we continue to get some more information on it. But, you know, obviously it has become a big conversation politically as well, in terms of the 2020 candidates discussing
I mean, so what do you guys think? I want to see what you guys think. What do you guys think about this?
Situation.
You know, I think so. We're definitely going to hit back. I think we're going to hit back. Most likely tomorrow, potentially tonight. We might have had already, like he said, we already have targets that we already know we can hit. So he even laid out what those targets may be, and I'm telling you, do not underestimate us hitting their oil refineries. What that does to their ability to wage war. You know, you shut off their cash flow. That's a big deal. Not to say that they don't have a lot of cash. You know, Obama made sure of that. He basically, you know, gave them money to bulk up for a war. So these missiles you really paid for with U.S. dollars, in my opinion. You know, which is why I think that was so stupid on Obama's part. The whole deal was crap. Now look at this: 30 cruise missiles and short-range ballistic missiles shot onto multiple bases in Iraq. That was the initial report. That was the report that was just given. So that's what I'm going with. Although most of them, and most likely it sounds like maybe the only successful hits were at Al-Assad, which is a huge base. It was a base that Trump was talking about today. What a coincidence. He's talking about that today.
A member of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Really? It's like so much better.
This evening, your reaction to what you're seeing play out.
Thank you, Martha. Of course, first, my reaction is that I hope and pray that there haven't been American casualties.
I think there have been American casualties, unfortunately. So I'm going to see what you guys think. So we got to neutralize Tony Solomon. We got to neutralize Strait of Hormuz missile sites before we do anything. I agree, because that's what's next. They're going to start messing with the shipping lanes, especially if we cut off their flow by hitting their oil refineries and hurting their ability to produce. They are going to start hitting the Strait of Hormuz. Let's see.
It is important that
oh yeah, that what I worry about is Iran. Leroy Jenkins. That's what I worry about is I'm sorry, Israel. Because Israel, if all of a sudden this becomes just as much about Israel as it is the U.S., I think that will cause countries to form an alliance against us and Israel.
Do you have any information, you know, in terms of what kind of protection?
I think it would be more likely Iran would gain allies if this becomes more about like a Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Judeo-Christian and versus Muslim. Like, you kind of turn it into those optics. I think the chances of alliances become much greater.
I don't believe that we've got anti-missile batteries for all of them. And I think there are some real challenges here in terms of being able to defend all of our troops and facilities, given Iran's relatively sophisticated.
So somebody heard, there's someone with a very interesting screen name. It looks like they just made it on the fly. Heard jets were taking off from the UAE. Iran also said they would strike UAE if USA attacks from there. So we'll see. I don't want to like end the stream because I feel like there is a good chance that there was already something in place where if something happened, there would be an immediate response, right? Isn't that the way it was put? No, the definition of immediate, I don't know. Jets taking off from UAE and Turkey. ETA a few hours. That don't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Where'd you get that? Who told you ETA a few hours? Yeah, oh yeah, we have contingency plan upon contingency plans upon contingency plans. There's A, B, C, D, E, F. There's so many options, and they treat each of them thoroughly as if they're the only option.
Was a dramatically escalatory step, and I think we need to make sure there is.
I don't understand people saying that I would believe that there'd be jets leaving from the UAE for an immediate response, which there would be a delay in how quick we find out about it anyways. But someone said ETA a few hours. That don't make sense.
say that the intelligence that they received about attacks on Americans and American
80 U.S. soldiers killed. Someone says I'm not reporting that. I need this.
or weeks. So
all right, I'm gonna get my research on, guys.
The action be if you feel that this was too escalatory, given the
Yeah,
fact
I'm gonna
that
go to
those
certain
attacks
places. Let's see what we
appear,
can
at least
find
based
here.
on what we know so far, to have been something that was quite pressing.
Well, Martha, that's what I look forward to hearing in the classified briefing tomorrow, is exactly what...
Because you know what's going to happen right now is there's going to be all kinds of disinformation. And a lot of it's not even going to be like on purpose, like you know, strategic disinformation. There'll be some of that, I'm sure. But there's going to be a lot of knuckleheads putting out fake news stories. This always happens.
I know the president was given, according to press reports, a range of options for what to do in response to
So let me see what I can find
attack, the Shiite militia attack on an American facility that killed an American contractor.
What do you think would have been the appropriate response, Senator?
Well, the
to that
president
killing
had
of the
access.
American contractor.
The president had a range of options at his disposal. I know some of them would have included either a cyber attack or a lower level of military attack.
People are already making this so political. The attack on Al-Assad Air Base and its U.S. military members is a direct result of the assassination of Soleimani by the Trump administration. Trump will get Americans killed to avoid impeachment. If you're MAGA or Keep America Great Again, go sign yourself and your children up for the military service. Yourself and your children. You see how nasty people are? I guarantee you, this is a larger scale of something that was already planned. And this is most likely the imminent attack that Trump knew about and why he struck this exact faction of the Iran military. The exact faction of the Iran military that we're talking about here, that hit us, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, this guy, he was the general of them. It's not so crazy to think this.
He is someone who is a designated individual terrorist, a very significant senior leader in Iran's malign attempts throughout the region.
Trying to find everyone just okay. Oh man.
Absolutely. In terms of his the legitimacy of seeing him as someone who is an enemy of the United States and our interests, I agree strongly. What I am concerned about and look forward to asking senior administration officials
Trying to see if I can find any good, solid numbers. If I'm missing anything, please just put it again. Bug all bag already packed? Not a bad idea.
Previous presidents, previous decision makers have chosen not to. There were some reasons this might have been the right moment, but there is an obvious set of questions. Did we consult with our allies in the region who were joining with us in the fight against ISIS? Should we have given any notice to Iraq, given that the other individual killed alongside him, also a leader of a Shiite militia that's strongly influenced by Iran, but was himself a member of the Iraqi parliament?
How much of that bears on the target of opportunity and the moment that would have been lost if there had been too much consultation?
That's one of the things that has to be weighed by both military commanders
Philly got it.
in their advice to the president and the
Bring it to Mama.
But this was not a unique opportunity to strike Soleimani. He's someone who travels.
So U.S. officials have yet to comment on the number of service members injured or killed. From what I see so far, let me check another place.
And that's probably why he was.
I'm telling you that you can get information. I'll get you guys some.
Can we keep our diplomats and our armed forces safe in the region? And do we have a strategy? Can President Trump deliver to us in Congress a strategy that we can support that will de-escalate this particular situation, yet push back?
I don't know. What does he think? They want them to present. I hate that presenting it to Congress. Yeah, if it's going to be all-out war, but he already promised a response. What are we going to wait a week and?
Mentioned, this is Fars news agency, Iranian news agency, that there may be, we saw some images a moment ago, you have to sort of just take into account.
And by the way, guys, if you check out any of my other videos, any PayPal donations would be greatly appreciated. I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know if anyone could put a link in there.
claiming this attack tonight. So we just watched that, and we mentioned that as we keep an eye on it. But all the video so far that we have seen, according to our sources, is from Iran. In terms of the timing, we cannot verify at this point, although all signs appear to point in the direction that we're looking at the action that we're discussing tonight as well. But we'll certainly let you know if there is any more updates or clarifications in that regard. We have a statement that is just in from the Department of Defense.
Department of Defense.
Approximately 5:30 p.m. on January 7th, Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles against U.S. military and coalition forces in Iraq. It is clear
It was actually 5:20, because that was the exact time that Soleimani was killed. 5:20, not 5:30.
Coalition personnel at Al-Assad and Erbil. We are working on initial battle damage assessments, and of course,
well, actually, it takes a few minutes. It takes a few minutes for those rockets to get there. So they were shot at 5:20. I know that.
Provide us good information in terms of the potential human loss or injury, and whether or not this hit was largely at infrastructure. Joining me now is Republican Senator Tom Tillis.
I do not like the slow, how long it's taking to find out the damage, which tells me there's damage. It tells me there's casualties. We knew there'd be something. Honestly, I didn't think it would be this much. I expected something. I think that this was initially not this many. I don't think they were planning to shoot 30, but there was something planned ahead of time, and this is the reason that we took out Soleimani. I feel very confident in that, actually. Let's see.
I look back at the interview that Javad Zarif did, the foreign minister, with CNN earlier today, and he said that President Trump must stop threatening people, that people will be further enraged. He said that the president needed to apologize for the
trying to get the most recent.
Your thoughts on the verbiage, the language coming from Iran?
I think the leadership of Iran, not the Iranian people, the leadership of Iran need to apologize for a decades-old attempt to harm Americans.
So here's like a
hundreds of Americans. Soleimani has created a network of terror.
Here's an idea of one of the things that we might be using, although this is.
He is responsible for the attacks on the embassy. He was killed less than 15 miles away.
This might be one of the defense systems that we were using.
He was not there for a good purpose. He was there to continue the surrogate war, and he got caught.
Actually, wait. This is something totally different. Sorry. But you know what? I think it does work in that way, too, for missiles. Yeah. Oh, no, wait. Actually, I'm in the wrong. Why would this guy put this? So.
But if anybody needs to apologize here, it's the mullahs and the Ayatollah and the leadership of Iran who have continued to press through maritime attacks.
Good information on here a lot of times.
And sooner or later you have to draw a line, and I think the president appropriately did that when he took out Soleimani last week.
Then what is your assessment of what Iran's next
Trying to get the latest information I can here. Once I'll get it, I'll let you know.
Under the stranglehold of very intense sanctions, unrest in their streets, thousands of people protesting against the leadership in Iran. And what do you think the United States' role should be or should not be with regard to the divide between the people and the leadership in Iran?
Well, I think that Iran.
And there's reports saying that Iran is saying that this is just the beginning of their response.
But if we give them another pass, like we
I don't
did
believe
with the
that.
maritime
I don't
attacks
believe
in the
that.
Gulf of Oman, the Persian Gulf, the attack on the Saudi airfield, the rocket attacks that killed a U.S. contractor.
All right, hey, you know what?
Sooner or later, you have to say you've crossed a line, and there has to be a consequence for it. The Iranian leadership only respond to proportionate force. They need to understand there's a consequence for this. The only thing that gives me any pause here is the safety and security of the American men and women.
I'm seeing 80. Who said 80 killed? I'm seeing that same number. Unless there's one disinformation story going around,
Thank you. Good to speak with you tonight.
I am seeing.
Correspondent Benjamin Hall, live in Amman, Jordan this evening. Ben, you're up.
I'm seeing the same thing. 80 killed.
As everyone's
been saying, I think the most important thing to look
I
out
hope
for
that's
now
not
is
the
their damage
case.
assessments.
That would be so
President Trump
bad.
has made it very clear that his
That would be
deadline
so
is the death
bad.
of
I hope
Americans.
that's
We
not
saw
the
that
case.
when he responded to the death of the American contractor who was killed in the base in Kirkuk. And again, if there are any Americans who have been killed or even wounded in this attack, that would certainly escalate this in a big way. But this is a big escalation, however you see it. Up till now, Iran has always used its
I want to
proxy
see. I want to
forces to launch its
find.
attacks. It's given them a sort of element of deniability.
I want to find the actual.
Forces would no longer be able to do that, that Iran would be held to account for their actions. And today what we're seeing for the first time, and this is why it's so significant, is a direct attack out of Iran using Iranian ballistic missiles claimed by Iran targeting US facilities in Iraq. The base that was fired at, Al-Assad base, as well as one in Erbil.
So Iran was targeting at least 2 military bases. So what we reported from the beginning was the case. Multiple U.S. bases, and they said that these missiles were coming from all angles as well. So multiple different launch points, or maybe they're guided where they come in different directions to for any anti.
Of course, we do know that President Trump has spoken quite clearly about responding. The Iranian regime said they had 35 targets picked out. That was a few days ago. And in response to that, President Trump said that they had 52 sites. Right now, the president has been briefed, and he's speaking to his national security team. So the question
is... I just saw on one of the places where I go to get info, especially breaking info. Yeah, see, is this where it's coming from?
On January the 7th,
check this out,
Iran
guys.
launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles against U.S. military and coalition forces in Iraq. It is clear that these missiles were launched from Iran and targeted at least 2 Iraqi bases. Typically, speaking to military experts, if they...
What just happened? You guys there?
Those launch sites would be one of the first things
check this out.
But then Iran has over 2,000 ballistic missiles. It has a vast arsenal. And particularly when you are so close, just across the border, Iran to Iraq, conventional weapons also that they could use. But certainly today,
you guys see that? Unless this is from the mortar attack, it seems more like mortars than missiles. I want to see how it explodes. I don't know. Is this just the way it lights up though? But this is, I think this is where that information is coming from that people are seeing. So if you guys can read that. First video showing Fatah 110 precision-guided ballistic missile of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which Soleimani was the general of. Most likely they had something like this planned. Hitting the Ain al-Assad Air Base in Iraq during Operational Soleimani. That's what they're calling it, Operation Soleimani. Okay. Of whatever sources claim they have destroyed several U.S. Army helicopters and drones and have killed 80 U.S. troops there. Now, mind you, this is just this one guy on Twitter. He has 47,000 followers. Another one. Now it's saying they falsely claim that they have killed 80 American troops. Well, no, he said that first, and then he says this. So, let's see. Let's see. So he's saying one thing, then another. And now he's saying that they did kill 80.
To the Iranian people in terms of the response, the proportionality of it, and whether or not, they have said that I think both sides realize that an all-out war would be an enormous mistake. But tonight we sort of are on the precipice. We don't know exactly which way.
All right, so let's see.
Thank you very much, Ben Hall, reporting tonight from Amman, Jordan.
All right, so let's see what Trump is saying.
From FARS news agency, we don't know if this attack is over. If the number of missiles that
we don't know if this attack is over either. Because it started at 10, then became over 30. And then Iran did say, this is just the beginning. I don't believe that, but we'll see.
In Iraq this evening. Let's bring in once again our national security.
So nothing from Trump yet.
Griffin spent a lot of time.
Nothing from Trump.
And joins us now live from the Pentagon with an update this evening. Jennifer, what are we learning at this hour? 7:40.
Yeah, this woman's been good about updates.
Well, Martha, what we know is that the Defense Secretary Mark Esper and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, have just arrived at the White House. They will be briefing the president, meeting in the Situation Room. They are carrying with them a large amount of briefing materials as well as the latest intelligence. We have received a statement from the Pentagon, which you've been reading from this evening, suggesting that the Pentagon will be carrying out a bomb damage assessment. There are no casualties to report right now from these two strikes on the American bases inside Iraq.
To report right now.
Report that these were cruise or short-range ballistic missiles fired from inside Iran at these American bases. We were speaking to U.S. officials, military sources on the ground in Iraq during the attack. Things have quieted down, I'm told, right now. Again, the national security team will be meeting tonight at the White House. That most likely, of course, they will be discussing what kind of response, if any, the U.S. will carry out.
So now they're saying no.
Will it be a cyber response? There are many
Yeah, cyber response. No, he put a red line out there. He said any American assets are American lives. So now they're saying no. They're saying no casualties at this time. So I see the source of this 80 killed thing. I found the source. He has 47,000 followers. He, you know, so do a lot of idiots. So I don't know. I'm not gonna report that. No way. Just, you know, somebody who's pro-Iran, obviously. You're gonna have a lot of stuff like that. You can't jump at everything you see. If I start seeing it in multiple places, so what are you guys seeing? What do you, any,
Reuters reporting moments ago that Iran's guards advises U.S. to withdraw its troops from the region to prevent the killing of more soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know what? I think that they went straight. I'm telling you, I think they knew exactly when this was going to happen, which is why I'm hoping for a, you know, the casualties to be at a minimum. The way that they shut down the Capitol, the way that some of the things that he said, he talked directly about Al-Assad, the Al-Assad base. He was talking about that, literally talking about how much it costs and all that. So, and as was Esper, the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. He was talking about the same thing. And he was talking about, well, if they wanted us to leave Iraq, there's a lot of complications. Actually, no, I think it was Trump who said it. And he said, you know, they'd have to pay for certain, you know, the airstrips and the bases and the billions of dollars on Al-Assad. So he was talking about Al-Assad in particular today. They shut down the Capitol building. They shut down the White House, you know, to a point, right? They closed the doors, lights off, everything was shut down. At a time like this, even the Pentagon was shut down because of snow. You guys can believe that? I think they knew exactly what was coming. They, it says on there that the attack.
The base in the fight against ISIS.
Hey, this guy's good.
It also oversees Syria. The base is located in the western Anbar province, about 100 miles west of Baghdad. You saw Trey Yangste earlier. He is in Baghdad, 100 miles away from where these missiles reportedly struck down. We should note that President Trump visited the base back in December 2018, and he's made it very clear in the ensuing months that he wants to keep the base open to oversee ISIS and oversee the flights in Syria. We should also note this past December, a number of missiles, we're talking about 30 days ago, a number of missiles also landed near the base. Those were reportedly fired by Iran's proxies inside Iraq. The unusual thing, as Jennifer Griffin has noted on many times,
they shot from Iran.
Is the missiles were fired from inside the borders of Iran.
That's what makes it war.
The missiles are either cruise missiles or short-range ballistic missiles. So far, we're hearing no reports about the damage or the casualties, and we certainly don't want to speculate. There was also a false alarm at the Al-Assad air base just a few
Now, this guy knows a lot. This guy has a direct in with Trump, by the way. I think that they. You got to keep in mind, guys. Our guy, that base. That base was on high alert. They fortified the base. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't any casualties. I'm hoping. This thing about
thank you very much.
talking about see, YouTube channel, those three joints on said between 70 and 123. Well, you know, the problem is this stuff, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. You got to be careful about the speculating of speculating about that, because I saw 80, but I found the source of these 80 killed, and it's somebody who's pro-Iran. So I'm not seeing it. And there's going to be a lot of disinformation, and I'm not going to be one of those people putting out disinformation. I'm sorry. If you guys want like someone to be skeptical, you know, there's other channels who don't mind lying to their viewers. I do. I won't lie to you guys. It's like all Twitter is. I mean, you know what's probably trending right now? Blood on his hands. That's like the they're like hoping for as many dead as possible so that they could say blood on Trump's hands. That's what they want to say. They just want to be able to say that. That's all I'm seeing all over when I look at Twitter. Because I even went to my side. I did see 80 there as well. One person say 80. But when I start seeing an exact number like that, I was able to find where it came from.
The types of projectiles that are being used, actually shooting missiles from Iranian territory into Iraq, is a totally different thing than the region has seen previously. And remember, we talked about this timeline before of the initial strike by an Iranian-backed Iraqi Shia militia group in Iraq that killed an American contractor and injured 4 U.S. service members. Those were just rockets. That was very small compared to what we are seeing fired tonight, and they were fired by an Iranian-backed militia group, type Hezbollah. The Iranian regime actually firing their own missiles from their own territory towards a base.
Yeah, so Trump is definitely in the situation room right now. Situation room. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's been in the situation room since these were fired. I'm telling you, the coordination that's needed, the fact that the reason we killed this general, supposedly, amongst many reasons, but the immediate reason was an imminent attack. I wouldn't be surprised if we knew exactly about this, and we were able to defend against it. The only thing that gives me pause is the delay in reporting, you know, no casualties, you know, the damage, you know, did they hit some helicopters and some aircraft, is it 30 missiles like that, 30 cruise and short-range ballistic missiles, and it houses troops.
That President Trump outlined, that Secretary Pompeo outlined, that Secretary Esper outlined.
The fact that it houses troops worries me. But the 80 killed thing, I saw where that came from. That came from, you know, somebody who's so unconfirmed. 3 U.S. service members might be killed in the Erbil attack.
There's no word yet on American
in Erbil.
But many of these bases, they house
so no confirmation. It's unconfirmed and initial. But 3 U.S. forces died by Iranian missile in Erbil. And this comes from like an actual like news guy too. But I'm not gonna report that. I wasn't even. I'll just show you that. So that's a different base.
The next step and what happened in the morning, no one knows. We don't even know if this attack tonight is over yet. Again, there are reports that the missiles are still being fired into Iraqi territory. Some reports just miles away from where we're standing right now, an Iraqi base with American troops reportedly being hit as we speak, Martha.
Oh, There's another base being hit as they speak. So they weren't joking when they said this wasn't over. All right, guys, this is getting like really serious. All right, so what was just reported was that as they're speaking, they said multiple bases are continuing to be hit. They said it calmed down before, but now they're saying nope. Bases with American troops at this time, at this moment, as we speak. Thank you. Thank you. This is from Iranian state TV. Strikes against U.S. bases were named in honor of Martyr Soleimani.
This is exactly what he wanted. He wanted the Middle East to be free
So,
from expansion. When we talk about proxies,
I can't take calls because I'm live on the phone, unfortunately.
Israel, you look at the places that surround Israel, Lebanon. You have Hezbollah, a group that is funded by the Iranians.
This guy got the information.
There, interviewing senior leadership in Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
This guy's good. When this guy comes
Both
up,
groups have confirmed to Fox News in the past year that they are receiving weapons and money from the Iranian regime. Additionally, there are Iranian-backed militias in Syria, in Iraq. So this is all up in the air as to what happens next. But there is this question of could this turn into a larger regional conflict that would include Iranian proxies?
yeah.
Before we were talking
If
about
the missiles are still hitting,
a proxy war. Now Iran firing missiles from their own territory towards American
and
forces.
they're still hitting. This guy knows more.
Everything up a notch. And so that is the big question about where
They're
this is
still
going to go.
hitting.
We will have to wait and see. Martha.
I can't believe that.
All right, Trey, thank you so much. Trey Yangste reporting live tonight.
She's just
from
gonna let
Baghdad,
that go and not
also
like
reporting
reconfirm that? Like,
there are
wait.
reports of missiles just miles from where he is in Baghdad, and we know that we have two Iraqi bases that house United States servicemen and personnel that have been attacked this evening, and no reports at this point so far of casualties that we can confirm at this point. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall is live in Amman, Jordan this evening with the latest in his reporting for us. Good evening again, Benjamin.
Good evening, Martha. And for the last few days, we've heard both the US and the Iranians insist that neither want war, and yet we've seen this steady escalation. We've seen this escalation for much of the last few weeks, building up towards this. But the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper...
All right, so bases are still getting hit. As we speak, bases are still getting hit.
So now we just wait to see whether there will be any kind of retaliation. It'll all come down to whether or not that red line has been crossed, whether or not
the red line's been crossed. It's definitely been crossed. It was 30 missiles. Now it's missiles still hitting. They already reported over 30 missiles. Now they're saying actually we're still under attack. So yeah, President Trump's definitely in the situation room. I don't really understand the strategy of shooting off all these simultaneous missiles and then having a second wave. You know, we should have been just prepared for you should be just prepared for that first wave as the second wave. But of course you never are. But you're going to be way more. But sometimes what happens, that second wave, intelligence, things can get a bit hectic. It depends on leadership on the ground. But things can get hectic, false information coming in, blips on radars. You think maybe, you know, you see some of our response and think that it's incoming instead of outgoing. Things can get confusing, especially that's why they probably came from so many different directions. These missiles, as we know, cruise missiles and short-range ballistic missiles were coming from many different directions, hitting multiple bases. So our original report was correct. They kind of switched it to one base, but no, it's multiple bases like we first said. As far as deaths,
cheering this at the moment, really making the most of it, saying this is the revenge, this is the retaliation that we've been talking about, this is the retaliation that we want. And the people in Iran, frankly, have been baying for blood, calling for American blood to be spilled. Their military leaders, their political leaders have all made that very clear that that's what they wanted.
Trying to see what I can find here.
We don't know, as I said, if that's the case. But the US has been getting ready for some kind of a response, and there were indications that they may have been preparing for some kind of a strike tonight. But B-52 bombers have also flown over from the US. Those are in place. Remember the 3,000 extra troops that came over to
they've already killed at least 20 service members that we know of.
Who came a couple days before that. An extra 100 into the Iraqi
Where are you getting that?
in Baghdad.
I'm
So
seeing
the
that in
US have
2
made
different
very clear
people
that
now.
They were ready for confrontation,
At
that they had
least
extra
20.
troops.
I don't want to put out wrong information, but
Everyone will be hoping that this doesn't end up in a wider confrontation, but that does seem to be in the Iranian hands at the moment.
Yeah.
The ball, as Mark Esper said earlier again, was in their court. They've clearly now played their hand. We have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, you make a great point, Ben, about the significance of this attack in terms of the leadership's response and how people in Iran take it, whether or not they feel that this is revenge, that it's hard revenge as it's been characterized tonight.
I just heard like a it was like a jet going. We have Hanscom Air Force Base close to me. I don't want to give away my location, but
has said is the outcome that they would like to see. I also want to just show everybody.
That was crazy. It was like,
this is
like
the West Wing.
quick.
Full lights on everywhere across that area. These are the offices of the top people at the White House, the West Wing, through that door and to the back on the East Lawn as we watch this evening. And these are the images also of the lights flying through the sky as Iran launches at least a dozen missiles at sites at 2 Iraqi air bases
least a dozen?
this evening.
They reported over 30. Why does she keep changing her reporting?
This is a nervous night, Ben, for so many of
But we're gonna get a lot of disinformation, guys. All right, I gotta go away 1 second to check out. I think I have some information for you guys. Hold on 1 second.
And nervousness for them. Our thoughts are with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly we know that the president has been briefed. We know that there were plans to retaliate to any kind of action. A couple of days ago, the Iranians said they had 35 targets ready. In response, President Trump saying he had 52. You would imagine that if there was going to be a retaliation,
All right, nothing
one of the
yet,
first
nothing
targets
yet.
would be the launchers from where those rockets came from.
Yeah,
we haven't
that's
seen that
the
yet,
I read
but
that.
the US certainly ready, postured, and ready for whatever might come next. Martha?
Ben, thank you. We're getting some indication that there may be an address from the White House this evening as we take a look at.
All right, so there's gonna be an address from the White House this evening, guys.
At this hour.
All right, so did you guys hear that? There's gonna be an address from the White House.
The damage as they try to figure out whether or not there is or are any U.S. casualties or injuries as a result
Hopefully
of this. We
there's
certainly
no.
hope and pray that that is not the case.
I hope there's no casualties, because it ramps it up, and obviously you don't want to see that.
We're all just waiting to see what kind of information we get. Also, in terms of whether or not this attack is ongoing, is another one of the very big questions that we are waiting for answers this evening. So if and when the president does decide to address the American people tonight, he may have some
I'm seeing so many people. All I see on Twitter, by the way, is now there's 13 dead. Thank you, President Trump. What was that, Lexington, Mass?
Towards 2 Iraqi bases that house.
Why, did you hear that too?
Continuing coverage tonight.
Anyone in Massachusetts hear something?
This is a Fox News alert. According to U.S. military sources,
So,
Iran's response to the killing of Qasem Soleimani has begun tonight. Multiple rockets.
Iran's response has begun.
In that country where American troops are located. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is taking responsibility for that attack. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. We are, of course, closely monitoring what's happening in the Middle East.
Now, this guy, he did not like the attack on Soleimani.
This evening. Fox's Trey Yangste is actually in Baghdad right now and joins us from there.
This guy got good information.
Trey, what is happening?
I'll be quiet.
In Baghdad, Iraq
yeah, it's good info.
Tucker, good evening. Things in Baghdad are quite calm. Most of the missiles, according to reports, landed at an Iraqi military base in western Iraq that houses U.S. troops. Some missiles also targeting a base in Erbil where there are American forces stationed. What is different about tonight than previous rocket attacks that we've seen?
Unconfirmed, 3 killed in Erbil.
This week is
Unconfirmed.
These were missiles fired from Iranian territory into Iraq. According to Iranian state television, the Ayatollah himself was actually the one ordering the strikes. And moving forward, the big question now is how does the administration respond? According to the White House, we are hearing that he is meeting with his national security team. There are still damage assessments underway at the Al-Assad air base in western Iraq to see whether or not there are any American casualties. Reports indicate that there are Iraqi casualties. And remember, the Iraqis with the Americans have been fighting the Islamic State. There's
so some definitely hit. You hear that? There's definitely Iraqi casualties.
Where we are at today, we saw just last month the death of an American
some did hit.
And 4 U.S. service members who were injured.
There is some Iraqi deaths for sure.
In response, President Trump
I've heard 3 unconfirmed at Erbil. That came from like a legit news source. So
the borders of Iraq. Then in response, we saw the militia just off to my left in Baghdad's green zone ordering the storming of the U.S. embassy. And then early Friday, President Trump ordering that drone strike to take out Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top military leader outside of Baghdad's international airport. Everyone has been speculating about what the Iranians will do. They have called for the blood of Americans. We heard that confirmation today from Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and the Ayatollah Khamenei. Moving forward, we are not sure whether or not this attack is over or whether it has just begun. Tucker?
Trey Yangste from Baghdad for us tonight. Obviously, all of us are praying here in the United States for American soldiers and Marines and bases around the world, particularly in the Middle East. We're getting word, though, from government sources here in Washington that there are apparently no casualties from that attack tonight in Iraq. Apparently, that's what we're hearing. Gil Barndollar is retired.
You hear that? Apparently no casualties. Right after the other guy. I mean, I don't know. Does he mean American casualties? Because the other guy just said Iraqi casualties. There's unconfirmed 3 in Erbil, but that's unconfirmed. There's people saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Twitter is not the best place to get it. Sometimes Twitter is good for information. Right now, it's not.
Do you think that what happened tonight, and again, we're only repeating what we are hearing right now because it's unfolding.
I'd like to be able to make it to the presidential address.
Injured in this attack. Is it plausible that this could be enough, that the Iranian government could say to itself and to the world, we responded to the killing and that's it?
Yeah, look, I really hope so. I mean, you know, I've got friends in uniform and out of uniform both in the Persian Gulf right now, and a lot more who would be headed on the way there. Things get any worse. And
so does this cross Trump's red line? I mean, the way he laid it out, it does. But that means more escalation, right?
People out of the region, the Japanese. There are ways to off ramp here, especially if no Americans were killed. But otherwise, where do we go? You know.
I really hope no Americans were killed, because that's what they promised. They promised it to their God, to their people. Above the casket, they promised American blood. So I don't know if that'd be a good thing or a bad thing. If no Americans are killed, does that mean they're gonna keep trying until they actually do shed some American blood legitimately? I mean, literally, that's all. They're just hoping for some like United States service members or United States DOD contractors to be killed.
Are we really going to invade a country of 80 million people and depose that regime?
I'm not worried about North Korea, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not worried. Yeah, Twitter sucks, man. Twitter's like, it's the worst.
It's difficult to pull away at this point, you're saying?
There's so many voices on both sides and there's so little trust. You know, I would say right now the hardliners...
It's being reported on MSNBC from a reporter in Iran that there's an unconfirmed report of 30 American service members killed. I don't believe that.
December, you go back to Soleimani's death, you can go back
I don't believe that.
if you want, but we don't have to be in this position. and the only people benefiting are the real
CENTCOM issue statement about casualties.
We know that there are
No, this is something else.
in Washington, the Bill Kristol Max Food contingency, who have been pushing for this kind of event for a long, long time. But what about uniformed military leadership at the Pentagon? Where are they, if you can generalize?
At the risk of generalizing, I mean, I think maybe some of them unfortunately fall into the trap of thinking we can.
All right, so I was hoping to make it to the Trump.
Short of a major war, but the Iranian regime is as unpopular as it is.
I don't want to spread fear to people.
Is not going to just collapse with a little bit of a push. You know, this isn't. We're not going to incite a way.
Trying to get you guys correct information, not speculative information.
You know, most people welcome that. Most Americans, but I don't.
There's been conflicting reports too. It said no casualties. Right after the other guy said, well, there was definitely Iraqi casualties. Oh, here we go. He's good.
Possibility, and it's only a possibility at this point, but there's a possibility that the president may go on camera at some point this evening to address the nation about what is taking place in Iraq and what has taken place over the last couple of hours. They're still trying to figure out exactly what the situation is on the ground there in Iraq and whether it warrants a full address to the nation or maybe it just warrants some sort of statement from the president. I'm getting some early indications from people in government that there does not appear that there are any American casualties here, that this missile attack did possibly not do as much damage as one would think that a missile attack of this scope would. The only bases that were targeted in the region were 2 Iraqi bases, which also house U.S. forces.
So Erbil and Al-Assad.
That are actually American bases in the region were under attack. But the president did promise this afternoon when he was in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister of Greece, and we were there in the Oval Office, that the United States is prepared to respond to any act of aggression by Iran's military. The president would have a number of different contingencies that would be presented to him by the Pentagon, and he can choose which way to go or no way to go, depending on what the situation on the ground is there. And it will take some time for the Pentagon to have an accurate assessment, bomb damage assessment, as they call it, and that may not come until first light. Obviously.
All right, so this is what it looks like, guys. So it looks like it's going to be no American casualties, barring a second wave, like what it sounded like for a second there with that other reporter who reported that, and then goes on literally 5 minutes later on with a different host and says things have calmed down for now. Which is weird. He was just saying, as we speak, we have reports that there's more. See how there's so much confusion. I think that he was clarified on that, or maybe he was told to shut up. But right now the report is no casualties. 2 American bases were targeted. We have Erbil was targeted, as well as Al-Assad. Those 2 bases were targeted. Right now we have no reported casualties. The president will most likely be reporting to the nation.
I just got a text from someone I consider trustworthy and well connected. And again, who knows, because this is developing. But this is from Baghdad.
1 second.
Right now.
From Baghdad.
The next steps in the phase of this geopolitical struggle will definitely be on the airwaves soon. Hard to know, but it's
so cryptic. But what was just said was the next step of this geopolitical warfare will be airing on the news soon. I was just about to sign off. I was just about to sign off, but they said basically the next step in this geopolitical warfare will be aired live on television soon. What type of cryptic crap is that? And he said it came from somebody who's 100% legit. Like he said he trusts the guy more than anything. So there actually might be a direct answer here. Now, if there were no U.S. troops killed, what would be a correct response? In my opinion, what I've been saying all night, hit their oil refineries. Although to them, that would be worse than losing life. But you know, it's kind of that gray area with no sound.
by saying that we'll see
There should be
what the
sound.
assessment is, but if, as reported,
No sound, guys?
casualties, we don't know if the Iraqis took casualties at either one of these bases. I think what you're seeing here from your source of
is that what you think, Mark? Not what I was saying. This whole geopolitical. You'll see the next. We'll see the next. That was an odd little cryptic. I was about to sign off and just say 2 bases hit, no American casualties. There have been Iraqi casualties, so at least one of these missiles hit. But it was Iraqi casualties. And, I think that they're talking about a potential cyber attack as a response. That was our response, a more measured response. He was going to go with something a lot more serious. But that was our response, although I think the hack, the cyber attack is actually strategically hurts them more.
Sanders go far hard on this Iran issue. Joe Biden is trying to ride the rails, but he has his own issues about what the Obama administration did with Iran and the red line and the paying of money to Iranian.
Read what? What am I reading?
It's not. I guess what it's not cut and dry. It's not. It's hard as
You said read.
someone watching this who's not covering politics full time anymore, as you are, to see how it doesn't seem like the Democrats.
Exactly. I think they're gonna hit. I think they're gonna hit the
100%.
current activity over Syria.
In an election year that we are 3.5
All right,
weeks
let's
away
see.
from the Iowa caucuses. This is a major event that will have big repercussions, but most importantly, the next steps on the ground in Iraq, in Iran, and whether those targets inside Iran, maybe that shot.
And I'll turn around the camera once I got something here.
U.S. warplanes, we don't know.
Because if there is, I'll get it.
The White House, I hate to use the phrase talking points, but position. Like if you were to sit down with the president or one of his advisors and say, what's our plan going forward? Is it clear what the answer would be, or is that the purpose, do you think, of the president addressing the nation tonight?
That's the purpose. If and when he does it, that'll be a clear. Here's where we are. This is what I'm thinking. Notice we didn't hear anything from the Gang of Eight or anybody up on Capitol Hill after they were briefed by officials. The whole House and Senate expected to be briefed tomorrow on the intelligence that led to the taking out of Soleimani.
And by the way, guys, the whole thing that they were, of course, they politicized it.
Skepticism up on Capitol Hill and in different corners, and maybe that's what the president's going to address.
He's going to address why we did it.
Yeah, and maybe next steps.
They politicized this whole thing about, we don't know what the imminent attack was. The president acted out of, well, they actually briefed the Gang of Eight today. And when they briefed them, there wasn't a peep out of any of them. Not Schiff, not, is that a link?
In some kind of protracted war.
So it's someone's Twitter status, though? Alright, so if I hit this, I'll be right back.
His instincts are restrained. Is that what you're sensing or hearing?
Policy-wise, what he campaigned on, that's what he suggests. But what he says verbally about being tough against Iran, what he tweets out sends a different message. Yeah. So whether his rhetoric matches up with what the policy Commander-in-Chief.
And last question, do you think we are going to hear from the president?
Okay, so what it reads is that there's United States aircraft over eastern Syria, and the guy's thing, it was at MiG-29. If you guys want to check it out on Twitter, at MiG-29, which makes me think that he's one of those guys who do like the tracking of aircraft. There's a lot of those guys. They track the aircraft. But they're not gonna. The aircraft that they're gonna be able to actually pick up aren't the aircraft that are gonna be doing anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. has for defense reasons, birds in the sky over different interests. I wouldn't be surprised. So let me see what else I can find besides that one.
Benjamin, what is the response over there right now?
Well, Tucker, I can tell you that everyone certainly has been waiting for something for the last few days. Ever since Soleimani was killed on Friday morning, people have been expecting some kind of Iranian retaliation.
Yeah, we knew on this channel. We knew exactly when. We knew it was going to be within seconds. That's why I did that. When I saw that they were all being shut down, all the American bases. That's why I did not the American, the Capitol Hill, all these places. I realized the Gang of Eight was. They must have been. They were being, or they already were briefed. And I bet you the president went straight down the situation room, and they got ready, knowing that this response was coming. I have a very strong feeling that intelligence knew ahead of time. A cryptologist intercepted a message, or multiple messages, because they had to coordinate this attack somehow. And our abilities are amazing when it comes to that, and always have been. I can only imagine what they are now, which is probably the reason that. So, all right. Reports of U.S. fighter jets noted over large parts of Iraq as well as Syria. Also reports of Iranian Air Force now active over the skies of Iran. And that's from Instant News Alerts. We'll see. A lot of people, they'll make like fake news accounts. Again, United States Air Force jets seen over eastern Syria. Reports of U.S. fighter jets active over Deir ez-Zor in Syria, where Iran-backed groups have a large presence. U.S. jets are reportedly flying over Deir ez-Zor. Okay, same thing. So yeah, I'm seeing it all. I'm seeing this seems to be a consistent. I'll go ahead and say the U.S. jets are up over eastern Syria for sure. This is consistent. This is coming from many different places.
And just today, the Iranians said that any country that allowed.
And amazing how we were just talking about it. Now it becomes relevant. The Iranian and Russian jets, somehow through some cyber capability, were able to take them down at will. Well, that really comes into play right now, as well as the Russian bombers. We've been able to take them down at will with cyber capability. And this isn't just some like old aircraft. This is their top of the line aircraft that we were able to take down. So yeah, I'm seeing that all over the place. Jets over Syria. Let me see jets over Iran. I want to follow up on that one.
We did get that initial report, a message from the DoD, and I'll just read that to you again. They laid it out very clearly, saying at approximately 5:30 p.m. on January the 7th, Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles against U.S. military and coalition forces in Iraq. It is clear these missiles were launched from Iran and targeted at least 2 Iraqi military bases hosting U.S. military and coalition personnel. So this is a major escalation. It's a major game changer.
Well, they had that a while ago. I was sent that like 20 minutes ago. And thank you, by the way. It's just there's no way for me to read it. But they had read it on the news before that, I'm pretty sure.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
So, over a dozen. Went from 30 to over a dozen.
Thanks so much for coming on. So,
let's see what else I can find.
Since this is unfolding right before us,
there's jets in the sky, though.
That Iran lobs these missiles into the
and we wouldn't find out anything until afterwards. There could be a lot going on right now. That's why, with technology, I want to kind of look around and see.
Look at the last several days. It looks like a tit for tat has been occurring. So you see the attacks on the 27th by Hezbollah Kataib on the Iraqi base in which our soldiers were housed. The contractor perished. We responded by attacking 5 different targets in Syria and Iraq. Then the response was the protests in the embassy, and our response to the protests at the embassy were killing their second most popular leader in Iran. So I'm looking at these strikes tonight, and what I'm thinking is that how are we going to retaliate, and how big is it going to be? Because I'm sure it's going to be much bigger than these ballistic.
We can certainly see how it could go there. I mean, people who don't live in Washington may see this as a clean debate between conservative Republicans and liberal Democrats, but those of us who live here know.
Listen to this.
I don't know. Pick someone.
Stampede at Iranian funeral procession for Soleimani kills 56. These people friggin' animals? What are they, animals?
Would you agree?
Well, I would agree, because
this comes from NBC News.
And what he was talking about is, I have two questions, and my question is, what is our response?
No way, is this like a fake? No, this is real.
Retaliation. My questions would be,
Soleimani's hometown burial postponed after dozens killed in stampedes.
I'm talking about the attacks on the 29th, in which we bombed two sovereign states, Syria and Iraq, without any explanation or justification. But it seems like they've moved on from that, and they just want to know what our retaliation, what our preparations are for an Iranian.
Right, so
we're already at war.
It's infuriating, because the posturing of people like Chuck Schumer couldn't be false. I mean, it's because of Schumer. And
you see that guy's 56 people. So I thought he was buried. So he wasn't buried yet? They're postponing the burial? What?
Right, and they've been no real backstop on this run up to war in Iran.
This makes no sense.
Including getting out of the Iran.
Why would this be coming out now?
In 2018. I mean, they opposed it because they opposed Trump.
No, okay, this came.
Really, what they were saying to us,
this came out earlier today. Dozens of people died in a stampede Tuesday during the funeral procession of Qasem Soleimani, the top. Wow. Soleimani's burial was postponed after as many people as 50 were killed and more than 200 injured during the crush in his hometown, Kerman.
Their power derives from conflict. It always has. It seems like we may have missed the opportunity to do something really good for America, which would be to bring our troops back home from Iraq. Have we missed it?
Right. I mean, if you look at it today, we have more troops in the region and possibly more dead Americans than we had even last week. And so we have 5,000 troops still in Iraq today, and 3,000 that are being deployed out there. So
all right, so I'm going to look into some of this, guys. Stay tuned for the president's address. Based on what we're hearing, it could just be, you know, part of what they would do in this type of situation, which I would imagine. I'd imagine we'd have birds in the sky just in case, ready for a dogfight in the sky. Which, I mean, according to what we've been finding out in the days leading up to all this, we have the ability to cyberly make their jets fall out of the sky, and forget about jet to jet. We are far superior. So we'll see. I don't know if this is just they're just scrambling fighters, or if we're talking bombers. I wouldn't be surprised to see them scrambling fighters all around the area, with Iran doing the same as well, all around Iran. That's why I read that report, because it makes sense. Iran scrambling fighters over Iran, and the U.S. scrambling fighters. Am I live? What's going on?
Kelly, thank you. You've arranged me, but it's good to see you. Thank you. Blake Ferris is a Fox national security contributor. He joins us.
And Iran scrambling fighters over.
I mean, to the extent that we know, where do you believe we're going to wind up? I believe now.
Yeah, an EMP. That would be the worst case scenario right now. I'm just gonna see what you're putting here.
If the Iranians going to launch more waves everywhere in Iraq,
So the breaking news there from Original General there is that Trump is in the Situation Room right now with his national security advisors from a reputable source, which makes sense. I'm sure he's been there. I think this was anticipated, which is why the casualties are such a small number. None as of now, outside of some Iraqi casualties, but no American blood as promised. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bit. Well, I know it's a good thing, but it makes me worry. Like, they kind of proclaim that to Allah and their people, and over his casket, which apparently they had a postpone. I didn't hear about this. They postponed the burial. I wonder if that was part of something. I know that by the way, they launched this attack on our 2 American bases, Al-Assad and Elmir, simultaneously from all different directions on each base. They launched those attacks, and basically what they did was they fired off their missiles at the exact time that Soleimani was killed, which their time was 1:20. Eastern time was 5:20. So this has been 3 hours since the first missiles were fired. Jets are scrambled. The president's going to address the nation. But I think that's about as much as we're going to be able to report for now. So stay tuned. I'll be on it. You guys be on it. Head on a swivel. Do your research. Send me anything you got to theredpillnews at proton.mail. And if you want to look in any of my other videos, or I might even put in this video, if anybody wants to donate to the channel, there's also a place to do that. But right now, the good news is they're not reporting any American casualties. Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles against U.S. military forces. It's coming from the Department of Defense. And the missiles were launched from Iran. So we were on it. We were on it. And what I think is going to happen next is Trump hits their oil refineries, especially if there's no American casualties. Well, I bet you he does something like that, where that cripples them, but it doesn't cause any casualties, hopefully, although there'll be men working there. Hopefully you hit it at a time when it's, the least amount of life inside of these places. All right, so with anything, I'll be back. And until then, it's Red Pill Dispensary.
An awfully long time. For all the talk about Iran as this great threat, the terror that we've been faced with for the last 20 years has been